1st of August, 2025. Coming up on today's Global Intelligence Agency Operations Report. The real reason for the fight to keep Jerome Powell in his Fed chair is crazier than one might think. 1 minute the White House supports him, and the next they don't. Everyone in the deep state has a story lately, and they are calling left and right, hoping someone can get us to support their latest financial scheme. And the Q clock is back, counting down the days until they launch the quantum financial system. But I wouldn't hang your hat on those promises. And the war between us and the secret space program continues. They want time, and we want restoration for Earth and all her inhabitants.
Tired before the day begins? NAD Plus levels drop 50% after 40. NAD Plus helps your cells bounce back fast. Most supplements give precursors. NAD Plus skips the breakdown, delivering direct, bioavailable power. Support your energy, metabolism, sleep, and stress levels at the cellular level. Join the NAD Plus revolution. Start your journey to a healthier you. Subscribe today.
Well, it's the 1st of August, and in the Northern Hemisphere here, summer's on its way out. It's kind of crazy how fast this summer went by. But not as crazy as what's going on out there. So I wanted to touch base on this because it kind of ties into everything else that's going on right now behind the scenes, so you kind of understand what plays out in the mainstream media. So Jerome Powell, for those of you that don't know, is the Federal Reserve Chairman. And he's kind of been in the hot seat a little bit lately in the news, whether it's mainstream or the alternative media. He's in, he's out, he's getting fired, he resigned, then they retracted those statements, he didn't resign, and it's just been bouncing all over the place. So it's been a little bit of time now, but he tried to give us a call, or gave Tom a call, because, well, none of these people want to call me. But he did try to give Tom a call to see if he could make a deal. And at the time, we were like, no, you should have done this a long time ago, can't help you now. Because we were thinking, well, this had to do with him being in the hot seat. But apparently it doesn't. So the story started getting crazier and crazier over the week this week. So allegedly, according to mainstream media, he was appointed by Donald Trump in 2018. Well, that's not true. Number one, the Federal Reserve is a private corporation, as all of you know. Number two, no president appoints a Federal Reserve chair. No one. Not one, not ever. Not even when you consider Trump's affiliation with the order would that have been possible. Now, they can give a vote as to who they want, but it really doesn't make a difference. Now, behind the scenes, there's been a lot of tit for tat, so to speak. And we thought it was, well, here's just more of that fight between the Trump operatives and the Dragon family, or the Black Sun and the Dragon family, or the SSP and the Dragon family and the rest of the SSP. Who knows? It's as to who is going to be in a chair. The real fight appears to be a little bit different. Now, you see, Mr. Powell has been telling everybody, as the Federal Reserve Chair, and because he was appointed before all of these systems started to go crazy and haywire, as he says, he is the only one that can actually access the higher level systems of the Federal Reserve, and he was ratified to do so. Now, that actually wasn't true. However, at the time, back in 2017, 2018, the world was a different place. We had yet to begin on our side of it transferring funds out of the system. That didn't happen until March, which is more of the reason why he wanted to solidify the fact that once he was appointed in February, the Fed, which was a lie, started giving out all of this money, and that is because in March of 2018, it was the first time that I had transferred money to every single government in the world in a different way. So I did do this in 2012. It wasn't every country individually. At that time, it was a lot of agencies and a lot of global agencies, and it would have been more towards, unbeknownst to me at the time, a global government type thing. So by 2018, I had figured to transfer money out of the Alpha system without any assistance. Before that, if we were going to transfer money out, we would need to give the authorization, and then someone else would need to pull that money into the system. So by March, shortly after his appointment there, the system got flooded with well over $100 trillion, and that was me. But he is basically saying that he was the only one who could actually do that and put the money into the system, because his bosses, so to speak, he would work for the board behind the board of the Fed, which we know to be the dragon families, at least the financial sector of them. And yeah, he might be telling a little bit of a fib there. Maybe it's a really big fib. But he's been telling people that the reason why he must stay in position is because if he is not there when the new systems come online, they won't be able to connect them fully to the Federal Reserve systems, which are technically non-existent at this point. They won't be able to have the full backdoor access to all the central banks and the backdoor access to treasury departments and, of course, every major bank in the world. So why would they want to take him out? Without his codes and his access, this won't work. Do it this way, it'll be easier, that kind of thing. You see, I know that there are a lot of rumors out there saying that the Trump administration wants to get rid of the Fed, wants to bring the Federal Reserve into, non-existence, and along with it, the IRS, which is a department of the Federal Reserve, as are all tax authorities worldwide. However, so the Trump operatives make a deal with this guy. They're like, we need him to stay in place because we can't appoint anyone else now because no one else could be ratified. Obviously the administration is also not ratified as many administrations in countries all over the world are also not ratified. They believe that they will have some access to do this shortly, is what they believe. But the I don't know what's going on here tonight. The interesting coincidence behind this is that we've been getting calls left and right from various Dragon family members. Also, on the flip side, we've also been getting calls from Trump lawyers and other people, and everybody seems to want to make a deal. As an example, one particular Asian, not Chinese, very prominent Dragon family group visited the White House this week. Allegedly, this is what they're telling us, which is completely and totally a lie. They are telling people at the White House that they have a way to restore the Federal Reserve System. They can give their codes and their authority and it will work, and so on and so forth. In reality, that is not what actually is happening. What's happening is, in a completely different business situation, Tom has a let's just say, a contract with these people. It's a real estate deal. It's nothing major. It's a few $100,000. It's not anything that is going to get any country back on its feet, for sure. That's number one. They've failed to perform on this few $100,000 for about a year now. So don't really have a whole lot of faith in this particular Asian family in any way, shape, or form. Their word is pretty much no good. We know they have that kind of money. They just don't have hundreds of trillions of dollars to make a world run. So that being said, that was the story they gave us. On the other hand, when we go back and replay, because everything in the White House is recorded, it's not difficult. When we go back and take a look at this meeting, basically they told them that they have the ability to get all the money that they need. You know, they need to keep Powell in place and they will take care of everything. Well, by take care of everything, apparently that means you call Kim. Kim will give you access. You know, they also put forward some old heritage accounts that, according to Wells Fargo compliance, they can't even see anymore. They said that they have no way to put that money in the system. They can't even see that money. They would need someone with higher clearance at this point than them to do so. And the response that Tom gave these people is like, well, you know, maybe that would be the Federal Reserve, you know, the White House. Where do you need the clearance from? And he goes, no, much higher than that. And without saying it, he knows it's me. I know this person. I've talked to this person at great length several times. They know it's me. So that's call number one. Call number two then comes in from another person who claims to be in control of the White Dragon, or he's going to be in control of the White Dragon. Of course, he would be in control and be the head of the family if only he could get access to money from me. Make a deal, you know. Everybody wants to make a deal with Kim. I've also gotten several phone calls directly from members of the Order of the Black Sun, Black Nobility, Jesuit Order, etc., all asking me the same thing. Can we make a deal? You know, the Trump operatives will never call me directly. I made a few rude comments when all of these calls started coming in, and I was like, okay, so lawyers are calling, these people are calling on the other side. I'm like, why don't they just try to make a deal? And the reason why they don't is because they have no intention of making a deal. They have every intention of taking everything and leaving us all in the dust, and that's never going to work for us anymore. So anyway, on that note, the story behind Powell is much larger, and the fib is a lot bigger than we thought. And the only reason why he's still sitting in that chair was because of the event that I did. And I have all of the spreadsheets and everything on my computer to prove it, that I was the one that did that in 2018. It had nothing to do with Powell. I didn't even need Powell's clearance. I got it directly past the Fed and deposited into the Treasury at the time. It doesn't matter that they claimed that they did it, but now that's kind of, that little fib they told back then is starting to really hit home these days. So based on all these deals that these people have been making in the front with all of these groups, you know, the Federal Reserve, the Treasury's really getting hit hard trying to install crypto. No one has a technology. Everybody's looking for one, and nobody's been able to find one that can actually function. They are also looking for assets they can leverage, can't find those either, even though they keep trying to put them on servers and give them a go. Turns out that all these people that claim they have all of these assets don't actually have any assets. And the odds are getting slimmer and slimmer by the day that they will have any kind of success. Now, as it relates to that entire scenario with central bank digital currency, I just want to repeat to you that they do not have any capacity to pull this off. Unless, which they still don't. They're now solely dependent, really, behind the scenes on a bunch of operatives we know as the Secret Space Program or the ACIO, or what's left of those 15 militaries. Those 15 militaries are also not just here on Earth, they were elsewhere. So we've been hunting them down for the last several days everywhere. They apparently believe that they can somehow use me to gain access to reality, to renew a covenant of time or something. I don't know. I have no idea why they keep doing this. Maybe it's just to irritate me. I have no idea. I even got them to admit that this is what they're doing. Yep. They don't know why they're doing it, but this is what they've chosen to do. It's not getting them anywhere. It's not helping them in any way. If anything, it's actually helping us locate them faster and eliminate as many as possible in rapid succession. So it's been a bit of a war for the last couple of weeks. I would say it started sometime around the third week in June. It's continued on till now. Now that we're in the Lionsgate window, it's ramped up again because it kind of got quiet there for a little while. So ramping up again, hoping that this portal that's coming up is, apparently they think it's a portal, is going to be in their favor because it used to always be a dark Lionsgate. Lionsgate peaks on the 8th of August, so in just a week from now. So by next week, next Friday's report's probably going to be really interesting. But it peaks about a week from now and then continues on through apparently the 12th. The deep state is counting on something by no later than the 15th of August. And we know that because they have relaunched the Q clock. It's counting down. Are you ready for the quantum financial system? Fully asset backed. I felt like I was watching a Ginzu knife commercial from the 1990s, if you're old enough to remember those. And I was going to get the bamboo basket included. I wasn't sure, from looking at this advertisement. Number one, no quantum system on their side of it is going to help them in any way, shape, or form because it will not function in the way that they want. Number two, they believe they'll be able to get some kind of control of all the assets. Those assets are already registered elsewhere. And if they're talking about old bonds and all of that, they're not valid in the new financial system. So that won't work either. But as far as in-ground assets and that type of thing, we've actually taken, as a precaution, we have taken extra measures over the last 48 hours or so as it relates to these in-ground assets. And this is everywhere in every country, where we've put some extra security on said assets. And we started doing this mainly because of what was going on in Silverton. And there is a lot of assets there. But we also decided to do this worldwide just in case. So if they do have an intention of, never mind registering to some system, that won't work. But if they do have any intention of trying to get a hold of these assets in a different way, that also will not work now. They will need a certain living DNA to get through to access them without dropping dead, essentially. We used a similar technique around certain rooms in London where they used to access Project Looking Glass and the like. So we know how to do that. It is a known fact amongst those that have been asset hunting on this planet that there are certain places that they cannot go. Russia, case in point. We did that in Russia, over a decade ago when it came to our assets. They know that they can't pass. And they have been looking for people that could pass through to where the assets or the access points to where the assets are located. They've even mapped out all of the assets. They did this probably with satellites and otherwise, but they haven't quite yet figured out why they cannot pass. They know that there's some kind of protection there. They just may not fully understand it. And neither does the SSP, because they don't really understand how the light works, the real light. Some of them think they're working on the light side, but they are not in any way, shape, or form. And one day they'll understand what I'm saying, but for today, that's important and something that you should know. The groups of people that are doing this have made some interesting attempts, and they were using some remaining portals that they had on this planet coming from very large keystones, let's call it. And those very large keystones were part of the original dark side creation from almost the beginning of time. I don't know how they got their hands on some of this stuff, but they did. Maybe they didn't even know they did. And there's still a consciousness there. And I believe, from what I can tell, this consciousness was communicating with them via an AI system, even this week, telling them what to do. This being that claimed it was a being, this being was telling them that they need to get through the portal, because you see, that portal, at least the main one in the center of Earth that was moved over to Silverton, is now fairly well closed. So they decided to make me the portal, or try to anyway. Painful, yes. Effective, not in the least. As far as these people, it took me probably a good 30 minutes to get rid of what they were trying to do. Apparently, they thought that they would do this with frequencies and neutrinos and neutrons, is what it appeared to be, against my person. So that's kind of been what's happening over the last couple of days. I did want to make one particular clarification. I had some questions come to me about travel and what we meant by travel. I didn't necessarily mean me traveling and leaving Durango, because that's what this person thought. So I thought I'd just clarify this. By travel, this means you should be able to soon utilize Earth's gateways and portals yourself to move about the omniverse and meet others. And others will soon be coming here as well. As soon as we get rid of all of this remaining darkness that exists over Earth, they'll have no problem being in this environment. You know, some of them will still have to have some kind of, probably some protection. At this point, the secret space program is sending out frequencies that would be unpleasant for anyone, including us that live here. We're a little bit more immune to it than they would be, because they're not used to such, let's just say, crazy people. But traveling doesn't happen the way you think. You don't necessarily need to board a ship and like you would board a bus and go someplace. You can travel by consciousness transfer, and all of that will become clear as it starts to happen. There should be nothing negative that should be able to come through with you in any way, shape, or form. And if you are negative, you will not be able to pass through, and at least not make it out the other side alive. But most people that want to do this and want to meet others, and I've talked about it for a long time, at least the positive ones, We know about all the negative ones that have been here throughout the years, but at least the positive ones, you should be able to do that within the next several months. And it'll take some training and teaching and that kind of thing, but who knows? Maybe they'll be able to, I guess, show up here and show themselves. That would be great. I know a lot of people have been wanting that too. But as far as like the dark programs and all of that, one day the history will be told, really, but, and how they travel and why that would no longer be a threat here. But for now, that's going to be a long series. Even just our notes from the last couple of years would make for a very long mini-series. Action-packed, though, but nonetheless. On that note, that's about all that's been going on. It's just been one constant battle between myself and the secret space program operatives predominantly. You do have, they've got their own black magic workers and that kind of thing. That's kind of old hat these days. These people are always trying to create something new. I expect their craziness to continue as long as they either A, have something left to do it with, or B, their next cycle, I guess, which is supposed to happen around the 21st of August. There's a new full moon or something then. They're always looking for something on these days. So a new moon, full moon, day ending in Y. But according to the internet, Q thinks that quantum financial system will happen sooner. And on the other hand, the other people seem to think that there's going to be a miraculous portal around the 21st. I don't see either one of them happening. It'll be the same old, same old. Are you ready for the big announcement? 2 weeks, How many Q clocks have counted down? Many. Many Q clocks counted down, and so they pretty much stopped for a while. But it was interesting to see it come back last night and with big promises, and there'll be absolutely zero delivery. And if they did, by any small chance, think they really had an opportunity, so to speak, to do this, then no one would be calling us. No one would be trying to make backdoor deals. No one would be trying to get us to make a deal, offer assistance. It's always over some project they think I'll really like, sometimes not, and sometimes it's just the Fed is the project. But we've been getting enough calls to tell me these people are pretty well sure they're not going to get this job done. So, and trying to do it through me or using me as a battery or whatever it is they're trying to use me for, a portal was the most recent, is never going to fly. So I wish them, actually, I really don't. I wish them well, and I wish they would have a portal to go somewhere else and leave here. That would be great. Otherwise, it looks like they all go back to the same place and let source sort them out. On that note, that's been the GIA report for August 1st, and I will see all of you on Monday.